YouTube stream is going live now.
Where'd you go to? Oh, you gotta go somewhere? Where? Who's going, you and Jody? Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, yeah. Huh? Does Chris have to work tomorrow? Oh. Does Chris have to work tomorrow? Stephanie, how is he gonna get to work? Okay, I doubt it. Okay.
Afternoon, Ms. Anderson.
Councilman Ellis, how are you doing tonight?
Well, not bad there, Mr. Mendenhall. How are you today?
Good. I'm still trying to get warmed up from Draper last night.
Well, it's a warm place, but it was cool last night.
It was cool last night, but a great time, and the singing was very good. Councilmember Moore and you both sang really well. And it's good seeing Mr. Epps there too.
It was a delightful evening. We get outside and sing like that a lot sometimes.
Yes, it's good to see all of you. The mayor and Mr. Carter. It's all good. Good times.
That's a really pretty tree down there, Draper. It's a lot of love has been put into that thing over the years. A lot of people putting their hands on it.
How many years has it been down there?
12 years, maybe 13. I want to say maybe. I think so. Small tree became a large growth, so it's really big. I think it is 12 years this year, 12 or 13.
And it started that small and got that big. That's quite a thing.
That's Clarence Hale's property right there, and he let the DAV work on it years ago. They put that flagpole in. I guess sidewalk.
I'm sorry I missed it. I had all intentions of being there. Ooh.
It was good. Cold though.
I was swimming last Friday. How was the boulevard?
It was awesome. It really was. The weather was great. It was really nice. And I don't know what I was doing yesterday. The reason why I missed Draper. I'm normally there. I always enjoy it.
Miss Thompson Harrison said she had some gift wrappers up there from the high school.
Who? Who was that, Jerry, you said?
Was it Miss Thompson Harrison or was it Kimberly Thompson Harrison? Did she had some kids come up to help out with the boulevard?
I don't know. Is it my computer? Is everything dragging?
It is with Jerry.
Oh, okay.
May want to get a little closer to it or something.
How's that?
You're still dragging, Jerry.
Is that better now?
No, you're still dragging a little bit, Jerry.
And your face has been the same for 5 minutes, like you hadn't moved.
It's freezing.
His computer's not keeping up.
I thought you was talking with your mouth shut. I was wondering how you done that.
Tranquility.
Yeah.
Angela, your house looks very pretty right there with the Christmas tree.
Thank you. Only thing missing is my little boys not being here.
I hear you.
Yeah. I didn't even put it up last year. I didn't put the Christmas tree up, so I'm a little better, Daryl.
I'm glad you got your spirit.
I'm trying. I really am.
They still in Seattle?
Yes. I FaceTime them just about every other day though. We FaceTime,
That's good.
but it's not like touching them little heads and kissing on them,
No, it
cuddling.
didn't. No, it didn't. But at least
Hey,
you get to
Dad.
talk to 'em.
Yeah, do we have everybody?
I can.
I only see Bernie.
I see 4 people.
Me too.
How can I make it see more people?
Can I speak now? Huh?
I say Bruce, man.
Am I
Hampton,
muted?
are you connected from a computer or your
I see
iPad?
Tommy.
Tablet.
There should be an option for gallery view toward the top of the screen.
Okay, I think I see everyone, I guess.
There we go.
On the tablet, you'll only see 9 people at a time, I believe. That's the
Okay,
maximum.
Okay, I see 9. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Angela.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you.
All
Oh,
right.
that was a little faster, wasn't it?
It was, Jerry.
Oh, I'm in luck now.
All right, looks like everybody's here and it's 6 o'clock, so I'll call the meeting to order and welcome each of you here to the December meeting for the Eden City Council, and welcome anybody who's watching on the Zoom. We meet the third Tuesday of each month, and we work from a prepared agenda at 6 o'clock, as we will tonight. Item 2 is invocation by Pastor Cynthia Nanny of the First United Methodist and Spray United Methodist Churches. That'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Tommy Underwood. If you would please stand for these, feel free to pause your camera or your microphone or both.
Let us come together in a moment of prayer. Holy God, we gather across the distances tonight, but Lord, we know that in each of these places that your presence is there. Lord, in the conversations that will be had this evening, we ask your guidance and your direction in all that is said, done, and decided. Lord, we know that you hold each of us close to you and in your hands. And so, Lord, we ask that you just draw us near to you so that your Holy Spirit may pour in upon us and that we may, in the spirit of fellowship and friendship and camaraderie, make the choices that need to be made and to have the conversations that need to be had. For it's in your Son's holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of
And
the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible. I think it's messed up.
With liberty and justice for all.
yeah,
I think you did great, Mr. Underwood.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Mr. Underwood.
Good job. Good
Thank
job.
you, Mr. Nanny, we appreciate that. Obviously, we're working in difficult times, so we have to go with what the technology that we have. Item 4 is proclamations and presentations. Before I go to what was on the agenda, I'd like to just take a second and read a statement here. The City Council would like to express our gratitude to Fire Chief Tommy Underwood, whose official retirement date is December the 31st. This will be his last meeting as the chief. Tommy has been in the fire service for the majority of his life, starting as a volunteer for the city and for the Draper Volunteer Fire Department in 1983. In 1988, he came on full-time as a relief driver for the city and worked at all 4 fire stations. He rose through the ranks and was named Deputy Fire Chief in 2005. He has been the city's fire chief for the past 10 years. The department has continued to thrive and grow under his leadership. This year, constructing a 2.5-story fire training facility on Stadium Drive that will meet training needs for the fire department, as well as other local emergency response agencies well into the future. We thank Tommy for his many years of service to the citizens of Eden and wish him well on his retirement. Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, sir.
Item 4A is an Arbor Day proclamation. I'll read through this, please, if you bear with me. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas the city of Eden has been named a Tree City USA community by the National Arbor Day Foundation for the 25th year. And now therefore I, Neville Hall, Mayor of the City of Eden, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, December the 15th, 2020 as Arbor Day in the City of Eden. And I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and plant trees to promote the well-being of this and future generations. Thank you. Item 5 is mayoral appointments. 5A is the ABC board. I'm going to reappoint Lisa Duncan for another 3-year term. And as board chair, Tommy Flint was willing to continue in that role. So I've appointed Lisa Duncan and Tommy Flint. Item 6 is roll call. Let the record show that all members of council are present, as well as the city manager, city attorney, and city clerk. Although we're virtual, we're all present. Item 7 is set the meeting agenda. I do have one change to the agenda that I'd like to make. I'd like to add item 15 as consent, as a closed session, and move what was item 15 of adjournment to item 16. So we have that change. And also want to remind everybody that in our procedure manual for Zoom meetings, we're required to have a roll call vote. So if you'll have your microphone on, when we have a motion in a second, I'm going to go down in alphabetical order and just ask how you vote, and then it can be recorded that way. That's what we have decided we'd do during online sessions. So just bear with me on that for a minute. Thankfully, we don't have many things to vote on, so shouldn't hold us up too long. But does anybody else have any additions or deletions for the agenda? If not, I'd entertain a motion to set the agenda with that amendment.
Go ahead, Jerry.
I'd like to make a recommendation to accept the agenda with the changes from 15 to 16 on a closed session.
All right, have a motion by Mr. Ellis.
Second.
Second by Mr. Moore. All right, Mr. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. Carter's yes. Mr. Ellis. Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
All
Yes,
right.
sir. Please. Yes.
Mr. Epps?
Yes.
Mr. Epps is yes. Mrs. Hampton?
Yes.
Hampton's yes. Mr. Honeycutt?
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt, yes. Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Moore's yes. And Mr. Noe?
Yes.
Mr. Noah's yes. Motion carries. The agenda's set. Item 8 is public hearings. We have none scheduled. Item 9, request of petitions of citizens. Deanna, did any come in? We have none of those. Item 10 is unfinished business. We have consideration of a proposal for an internal audit services. Tammy McMichael.
Good evening, everyone. You all should have a copy of the proposal from Bernard Robinson and Company. They have agreed to provide internal auditing services to the city for a 2-year term. The first year, they would complete an internal control review and assessment and review our user access to computer systems, The cost is anticipated to be in the range of $10,000 to $12,000. Year 2 would be more maintenance of the internal audit plan. The cost would be based on the hours worked and the level of the person actually performing the work based on hourly rates that are stated in the proposal. Staff just needs guidance from council as to whether or not you would like for us to proceed with a contract with Bernard Robinson and Company.
Thank you, Tammy, for getting this together for us. We've had this on and off the agenda for months now. Well, actually years since we went through our situation a little over a year ago. So that's what this was in response to. My question was, is the anticipated cost of 10 to 12,000 for both years, or is that annually?
That is just the cost for the first year for them to come up with an internal audit plan, how they want to look at our controls, look at our user access for computer systems, and come up with a plan. And then they will test those controls in year 2, and we will pay an hourly rate.
Okay, so those rates that were quoted in the memo, that they want to impact the 10 to 12,000, right?
They will not.
Okay, so that's what we'll be spending per hour on the following year.
Yes.
Is it possible to have a contract with them that says it will not be more than 12?
I think for them to do the initial assessment, to come in and make a recommendation of a plan that they think would help us make sure our internal controls are working, I think that's pretty straightforward, that they can anticipate that being the $10,000 to $12,000 to come up with the plan. And then I think year 2, they're saying that, city staff can kind of control what testing that they do in year 2, but we're going to pay an hourly rate depending on how many, if they do it twice a year, the second year, just to kind of test the controls, test the plan that they've recommended to us.
I'd also like to point out to council that usually when we have a memo or a proposal from a member of staff, we usually have a staff recommendation. And I specifically asked that the finance department not give a recommendation as to whether or not we proceed with this audit, because it's an audit of basically their work. So there's no recommendation from staff, so that they left it up for us to have our own discussion to decide if this is money we want to spend. So I'll be glad to have any questions or comments from anybody.
On that second year, Tammy, they would just come in like maybe 2 times a year, not every month for 8 to 10 hours, but just.
Right. The city can control that. We can determine once they create a plan for us, council can look at it and say, okay, we want you guys to come in and test the controls randomly once a month, once every 3 months, once or twice in that second year. And that would control, as to what level person we're going to need. I guess that's yet to be determined depending on how the plan assessment that they do. Do we need their partner to come in and do those testing, or could one of their staff accountants do it and us get what we're looking for at the end?
Okay.
And I will also say, in working with Tammy on this, the biggest part of this is the plan itself. City staff did not feel comfortable developing the plan. It needed to be developed by an outside source. So that is the biggest part of this. And it is the most expensive, I believe.
Well, this was recommended to us
More.
as a measure of control that we don't have currently, that they recommended we develop.
I think we could probably come in quarterly for the second year, and that probably sounds like that may be enough. If and then for the final to bring it in, and for the final 3 months or 4 months, whatever.
I think Tammy could probably advise us as well. After she see the plan that they put together, Tammy could probably advise us too, and let us know, hey, we need them 2 times, we need them 3, or whatever, by them getting information from her department. Don't you think, Tammy, or you want to leave that up to us?
well, before we enter into an agreement with them, we could make it very clear that we're asking them to come in and do the initial assessment and that
Gotcha.
we understand what that cost is anticipated to be. However, we want council and management to be really intimately involved in determining how many hours or how often they do these testing so that we will have a better idea. And I think once they get the initial plan, they would be able to give us a better projection on what the cost would be for them to come in and test those controls that they've recommended. So they just wanted to give you all of their hourly rates to give you heads up that this is what they charge per hour. And then after the plan is established, maybe we can look at that. But yes, we can control that with an agreement that we sign and enter into with them.
The only part that bothers me is the cost. Seems like to be a extreme amount of money. I don't know how anybody else feels about it. It's just a lot of money. You know, the audit's okay, but it's just a extreme amount of money right now. We didn't have any other bidders either, did we?
Not the second time that we sent out the RFP. We did not get any other proposals.
Well, if we did it quarterly, go ahead, Ms. Honeycutt.
That's okay, Jerry. Go ahead and finish your statement.
Well, if they did it quarterly, it'd probably be no more than, sounds to me, Daryl, maybe $2,000 if at the max. So it's maximum probably maybe $8,000 for the, if I'm looking at it right, if we did it like that. I don't know, we'll have to see and let her work it out and see what she shares with us. And if she thinks she can do it, you know, for 2 times for the year, then we're even better, you know.
Right.
And I think what the whole thing combined was that we wanted to show that we were, you know, checking everything and working together.
Mayor Hall, I guess where I'm standing on this thing, and I share Daryl's concern that it is a good bit of money. I strongly suspect that we'll never find anything that will be a savings or anything that will offset this. However, keep in mind of what triggered it and the fact that the recommendation come from an outside source who had reviewed cities' policies and procedures, that kind of thing. So I think it's we're maybe treading on lot thin ice. Let me just say that, treading on thin ice by not trying to adapt some type of audit process. Keeping in mind that if I understand correct, that this is basically a procedure that will be ongoing. It's not just a 1 year or 2 year thing. This will be guidelines and implementations that the city will have going forward. So with all of that, I don't want to cut off anybody else's comments, but I'm prepared to make a motion that city manager be allocated up to $15,000 to implement this process. I have no idea what other supplemental items may come in, and just want to make sure that we don't cut ourselves short. If they can do it for 5, that's great, but just want to make sure that if we take action on it, that we get this thing off the table and let it get underway. But the motion is to proceed with the vendor as proposed at the rates that they have suggested. Let's call it an allocation of $15,000, and let's get it going.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Honeycutt to proceed and a second by Mr. Carter. Any further discussion? And then ask a question that didn't get a chance. If not, I'll do the roll call. Mr. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. Carter's yes. Mr. Ellis.
Yes.
Ellis is yes. Mr. Epps.
Yes.
Mr. Epps is yes. Ms. Hampton.
Yes.
Hampton's yes. Mr. Honeycutt.
Yes.
Honeycutt, yes. Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Moore's yes. And Mr. Noah?
Yes.
Mr. Noah's yes. The motion carries. Thank you, Tammy, for bringing that information to us.
Thank you.
Put that behind us, maybe. New business, consideration of boards and commissions appointments. Kelly Stokes. You're on mute, Kelly.
Unmute.
Kelly, you're still muted.
There you go.
There you go. As you all remember, we adopted all new regulations that'll be effective January 1st. In doing that, we effectively did away with the original ordinances and created new ones. And therefore, everybody that's on our boards and commissions has to be newly appointed or reappointed. Normally in a regular year, we don't ask y'all to make this many appointments. The mayor asked me earlier today about doing it as a slate of offices, if you could do that. And then if anybody has anyone different they wanted to appoint, they could bring those up. And I'll be glad to answer any questions you have.
So in your packet, there was a list of all the Board of Adjustment, the Community Appearance Commission, Historic Preservation Commission, Planning Board, and Tree Board. And I would like to ask that those be presented in a motion for approval or denial in the slate of all of these. Does anybody have any questions for Kelly? Recommendations or different nominations you'd like to make from what was offered?
I think on the historic committee, mine showed the vacant. At that point, I'd like to carry that one position open next month, and I'll appoint that one.
Yeah, so we'll
Thank you.
we'll pull that one, and
Oh,
Mr. Noah's got a vacancy too. That you want to wait, or you got somebody for that one, Bruce?
I don't have anybody for that one, but I verified the others, so
Okay, good,
need one. I'll try to have that for the next meeting.
perfect. All right,
Mayor,
yes,
I've got all of mine have agreed. I hadn't got in touch with one, Mike Corum. He had some surgery, so I'm hoping to get in touch with him this week, but that's the only one that I don't have.
okay, all right. That's
I have all mine said yes, except the Board of Adjustment has declined, so I have to do the Board of Adjustment later.
okay. So everybody who has a vacancy to fill, we will assume that you'll have it. Try to have it for next meeting, if that's okay. And
Yeah.
other than that, instead of voting for all these names, like I said, I'd love to have a motion for approval for all of them.
I've got a question first, Mayor Hall. As you guys know, I'm still kind of new to this process. I understand Kelly's or what's triggered this on the UDO, but for what I've got to do, am I to contact each one of these people even though their term is not expiring? My apologies for being a little confused here.
That's entirely up to you, Mr. Honeycutt. If there are any changes you want to make, if their terms expired, you can. We sent out a letter to all these people to have them tell us if they didn't want to be reappointed, and we had none. I got a lot of calls that they did.
Okay, so you've made contact to them, is that
Yes,
correct?
sir.
Okay, well, I think I've got one vacancy, if that's correct, Kelly, that I need to work on. But I just need to understand, am I to reach out with everybody and just talk to them or whatever to make sure that they're going to stay on? But if that's been covered, I don't need to do that. All I need to do is provide you with that one vacancy or whatever I've got, one or two.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. My apologies, but I'm clear now. Thank you.
That's good. Thanks for asking that. Would anybody care to make a motion?
Motion
To approve?
to approve those that we,
A motion by Mr. Epps to approve the slate of nominees except the vacancies and the one that is not going to be renewed until next meeting.
I'll second that motion.
The second by Mr. Carter. Let's do the roll call vote. Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Carter's yes. Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Ellis is yes. Mr. Epps?
Yes.
Mr. Epps is yes. Mrs. Hampton?
Yes.
Mrs. Hampton's yes. Mr. Moore, Mr. Honeycutt, sorry.
Yes.
Honeycutt's yes. Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Moore's yes. And Mr. Noe?
Yes.
Mr. Noah's yes. Thank you. The motion carries. Moving on to item 11B in new business, consideration of Strategic Planning Commission funding in the amount of $4,500 for a children's interactive trail funding on the Smith River Greenway. Kelly Stokes.
Yes, sir. Our strategic planning commission earlier this year approved up to $10,000 to participate in this project with arts groups from the county. It came down to, they were $4,500 away from being able to complete the project, and it is on our Smith River Greenway. You received a memo that was sent from our chairman, Mr. Jim Burnett, asking that you grant the ability to spend these funds. The commission has endorsed it, and I would recommend that too.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Anybody have any questions for Kelly? Comments or concerns? This was, like you said, this was brought to us a long time, several months ago in the form of a $10,000 request that we had to table because we didn't know where we were going to be with it. In the meantime, they've raised over half of the funds to do it, but have ran out of their resources and time to make a decision. So would anybody be interested in making a motion?
Go ahead, Angela.
I'll make a motion to approve this. It looks like it's going to be really good. I approve it.
I have a motion by Mrs. Hampton,
My second.
second by Mr. Moore. Any further discussion? Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Carter's yes. Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Ellis is yes. Mr. Epps?
Yes.
Mr. Epps is yes. Mrs. Hampton?
Yes.
Mrs. Hampton's yes. Mr. Honeycutt?
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt, yes. Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Moore's yes. Mr. Noe
Yes.
is a yes. The motion carries. Thank you all for that. And thank you, Kelly. For
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Item 12 is reports. I'll ask City Manager John Mendenhall to share his report with us.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, members of council. First, I'd like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and thank you for the opportunity to serve you this year. Thank the residents for their time and the opportunity to serve them, and thank all the staff and members of our team. We have a good group of employees, and I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Be pleased to answer anything in the city manager's report and answer any questions that you have at this time.
Anybody have any questions for John? I just would like to say, John, Merry Christmas to you too. I've enjoyed running into you at these festivals down in the different parts of town. So I think,
Yes,
I think that's a good move for the relationship building with our citizens and establishing.
Yeah.
So glad to see you at these events when you're able.
Can I make a call out from John's report? I was looking for my note I had looked at earlier, but even though 2020 has been a very tough year for the city, that our economic development effort between the city and county for the city alone, I think the capital investment was $640 million, I think was the number, because the number of employees was the same number. It was like 640 new jobs. That, I wish I could find my note. That honestly, that sounds a little high, but my point being, I had talked with city manager a day or two ago, hoping that as we get to the end of the year, that we can kind of put out, promote what achievements we've done. We've had a lot of success, not only with the Purina thing, but the revitalization of the mall. I mean, we've had several industrial projects that have generated a good bit of capital investment as well as jobs. and the same thing with the downtown revitalization. So I just wanted to call out to the team that I appreciate what we all do, but we appreciate what they've done. And my apologies for not having that note in front of me, but when you added it all up, it's a pretty serious achievement, both jobs and investment that was achieved by the city. So my apologies in advance if I quoted the wrong number, but it was strong capital and strong job creation.
Mr. Honeycutt, fellow council members, as we've said in the past that we have been positive, and each year we come to the end of our years as councilmen, and but it's very positive the way that we continually work for our city and these citizens of this town. And Mr. Honeycutt, I'm glad you brought that up about the right direction that we're going. And each year we may have had some things on our coattails, but we come out strong, and we continually for our employees that do such a great job for us here. And I'm so happy for us as a council as bringing in Mr. Mendenhall, because he has met with a lot of people in the past 90 days, 120 days he's been with us, and he's a very, very, very positive direction for us and for our upcoming years. And I look forward to this coming year with getting started with a lot of new ideas. And we do have some things on our plate, but it's nothing that we cannot be able to serve together and to be able to serve to our citizens.
I found my notes, guys. $460 million of capital investment and 463 jobs. That was confirmed by the county too.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Need
And
to continue.
the whole staff, I mean, not just, I mean, the whole city in general, but when you said our team, I think that's a good way to describe it, because especially with John's leadership now, I think he's building the team mentality with having different committees looking at things now. And I think that we're going to start to see the benefits of that in the near future. So anyway, thanks for the report, John. Does anybody else have any questions for John about his report? All right. Thank you again for preparing that for us. Item 13 is consent agenda. That's non-controversial items, as I say every month, that you had a chance to review in your packet. Particularly short this month, two sets of minutes to approve. If anyone would like to make a motion to approve or deny the consent agenda.
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Mr. Moore, and the second, Mrs. Hampton. Mr. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. Carter, yes. Mr. Ellis.
Yes, sir.
Ellis, yes. Mr. Epps.
Yes.
Mr. Epps, yes. Mrs. Hampton.
Yes.
Mrs. Hampton, yes. Mr. Honeycutt.
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt, yes. Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Mr. Noe.
Yes.
Mr. Noah's yes. The consent agenda is approved. Item 14 is announcements. The only thing that I would, it just hit me a minute ago to point out, and I will defer to John if he has any further information, but our budget retreat is coming up fairly soon. We usually do it in February. Right as of now, John is proposing to do it earlier in the year, in January. So make sure you reach out to John, and he can share the dates he has in mind and confirm that we're going to have hopefully 100% participation. It's going to be a little different format than what we've done. He's leaning towards not doing it on a Saturday, however, doing it on a school work day in January, so that hopefully everybody can attend. And we were looking over maybe the possible agenda, and it doesn't appear that it's going to be as lengthy as it usually is. So that's the announcement that I have. Just make sure you get with John and the staff and figure out what works for everybody with the budget retreat. Anybody else have any announcements?
I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, yeah.
Merry Christmas to you too, Bernie.
Like I said, we're having we've added a short closed session, and I know y'all don't believe that because our closed sessions tend to get long, but this one's hopefully going to be short. So item 15 is closed session, and I will say for anybody who's watching, the meeting. When we come back, the last item is adjournment, and but you're welcome to join back on the Zoom. And I would ask that the council drop off of this Zoom link and use the email to go to the closed session link. And when everybody gets there, we'll start. But I need to say, I got to read this here. At this time, it's necessary for the council to go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 for economic development and 5, acquisition of real property. I need a motion to go into closed session.
Motion.
A motion by Ms. Hampton,
Second.
second by Mr. Moore. Any further discussion? Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Carter's yes. Mr. Ellis? Mr. Ellis still with us?
I think he's dropped off.
Okay. Mr. Epps?
Yes.
Mr. Epps is yes. Mrs. Hampton?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Honeycutt, sorry.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm getting in a hurry here. Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Moore's yes. Mr. Noe?
Yes.
Noah's yes. We have enough yeses to pass the motion, and we will now go into closed session. So please, if you can close this one and come back to the closed session link. Thank you. Thanks for everybody for being here. It's not coming into the closed session.